Praise be Jesus and Mary. St. Bernard of Clairvaux, the great Marian doctor, dramatically describes the moment just before Our Lady's response to the angel as the most suspenseful moment in all of human history. At that moment, St. Bernard says, the whole world awaits Mary's reply. The angel awaits. All creation awaits. We await. God himself awaits. And then she says, behold the handmaid of the Lord, be it done unto me according to your word. Her yes to God changes everything. Verbum caro factum es, et habitavit in nobis. The Word became flesh and dwelt amongst us. The fact is, God could have chosen and used any way he wanted to dwell among us and to save us. But the fact is, he didn't. And how he chose to dwell among us and to save us changes everything. By doing it in this way, God chose to make the Blessed Virgin Mary necessary. St. Louis Grignon de Montfort, in his classic True Devotion to Mary, calls this fact, the event of the Annunciation, the fact of hypothetical necessity. What does that mean? It basically means God could have chosen any way he wanted, but once he chooses a specific way, he will not change. This is what St. Louis de Montfort says. We must conclude that being necessary to God by a necessity which is called hypothetical, that is because God so willed it, the Blessed Virgin Mary is all the more necessary for men to attain their final end. Consequently, we must not place devotion to her on the same level as devotion to the other saints, as if it were merely something optional. That's such a key truth. The Mother of God is not optional. And from the moment Our Lady gave her yes to God, her role in salvation history is not optional. God himself chose her to be necessary at the climax of salvation history. And since he does not change, he chooses, continues to choose, and will always choose the Blessed Virgin Mary to be necessary at all points of history. And we saw this, and we know this from her apparitions at Fatima. In the apparition of July 13, 1917, which I perhaps quoted thousands of times these past couple of weeks, and I'm gonna do it again. Her words are so important because she is, we see her as necessary, even in history, at our point of history. This is what she said. So Our Lady told the children of Fatima that God would, quote, punish the world for its crimes through war, hunger, and persecution of the Church and the Holy Father. To prevent this, I will come to ask for the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart and the communion of reparation on the first Saturdays. If my requests are heeded, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, it will spread its errors throughout the world, promoting wars and persecutions. The good will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer. Various nations will be annihilated. In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me, which will be converted, and a period of peace will be granted to the world. Brothers and sisters, today is absolutely historical. Absolutely historical. Let me just repeat it again. Absolutely historical. A historical event of grace Because today, Pope Francis, in union with all of the bishops, will consecrate Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. In the prayer we just prayed just before Mass, the key line is, Mother of God and our Mother, to your Immaculate Heart we solemnly entrust and consecrate ourselves, the Church, and all humanity, especially Russia and Ukraine. Many bloggers, many vloggers, and many YouTubers will quibble with many things that will be done today. But the fact is, the ultimate judge is not them. It's the Pope who interprets how this consecration will be done. And they will never be satisfied. But what's important is not to satisfy the bloggers, the vloggers, or the YouTubers, but heaven. This is the important thing, right? And when it comes to Our Lady's requests of consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart, the essential elements are present in Pope Francis' consecration. Consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, essential, check. Explicit mention of Russia, essential, check. In union with all the bishops, present, essential, check that off too. What an event of grace. You see, it is to the Pope who interprets this consecration. For us, for the bloggers, the vloggers, and the YouTubers, pray the rosary every single day. That's our part. Go to confession. Receive Holy Communion worthily. Practice the first five Saturdays of the month. That's their role. That's their role. Okay, that said, what can we expect from this great event of grace? What can we expect? Wait and see. Wait and see. But we can say two things generally, theologically, okay? So, when it comes to this act of consecration, we can say two things generally. One on the efficacy of this act of consecration, and secondly, the effects. So here's the first one. We know that the act of consecration is not a sacrament, but a sacramental. And this is key, because sacraments, when celebrated properly, work ex opere operato, meaning they signify and make present the graces proper to each sacrament, right? Ex opere operato. Sacramentals do not work ex opere operato, but ex opere operantis ecclesiae. Theologians love to make these distinctions, right? Their efficacy rests not merely on the subjective dispositions of the person, but principally on the intercessory prayer of the Church, which has a particularly effective power. Okay, what does that mean? It means that the efficacy of the act of consecration of Russia to the Immaculate Heart shouldn't be seen as if it were a sacrament, since the act of consecration, theologically speaking, is a sacramental. Its effect depends mainly on the Church's prayer of what's called impetration. So impetration comes from the Latin impetratio, the action of obtaining by request, okay? This is important because one of the fruits of prayer and good works is impetration. Impetration with the right disposition and the fulfillment of prescribed conditions invariably obtains from God what is asked of him. Now, if this act of consecration is done by the Holy Father in union with all the bishops, plus all the faithful, the impetratory power is efficacious. So we can say that in a general way. Here's the second one. How about the effects? Sacramentals do not confer sanctifying grace immediately, What do? They dispose to its reception. Very important. So generally, the sacramentals are different. The effects of the sacramentals are different according to their special purpose. So for example, an exorcism is a sacramental. So what is the effect of exorcism? Protection from the evil one. A blessing of a religious object is a sacramental. So what's the effect of that blessing? The objective sanctification of that object. You see, it depends on the purpose. How about this act of consecration? We'll go back to the words of Our Lady, where she says, "My Immaculate Heart will triumph. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me, which will be converted in a period of peace, will be granted to the world." So what can we truly hope for? We can hope for the hastening of the conversion of Russia. We can hope for the hastening of a period of peace for humanity. And we can hope for the hastening of the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, an authentic renewal of the life of the Catholic Church. So to summarize all of that, an act of consecration does not have automatic, immediate, spectacular, sensational effects. It's God, in his sovereign, wise, mysterious providence, who reserves the right to determine the time and manner of realizing the effects of this consecration. At the Annunciation, the whole world awaited for Mary's reply. And now, the whole world awaits for the triumph of her Immaculate Heart. God wanted it to be that way, and God continues to choose it to be that way. And today, brothers and sisters, we had the great grace to participate and hasten the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Praise be Jesus and Mary.